Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, I'm drinking the cold IPA that you're gonna watch me brew. Not gonna tell you anything about it. You gotta watch the taste test. This is part 2. Sorry, I had to chop it up. I wanted to make sure that, it was in digestible units. But if you haven't seen part 1, go check that out. Part 1 is actually going over all the details and exactly what's gonna happen and all the cool things that you really need to know. Part 2, which is this part, is us actually doing the brew, the whirlpool, pitching the yeast, and calling it a day after that. So, in part 3 will be the taste test. Yeah, not gonna tell you anything, but I'm enjoying it right now. Cheers. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get mashed in. I'm at 149. Yes, you can kick it up as a strike temp, drop it back down, let it fall naturally. But the electric systems, they're so powerful. As long as you're mashing in nice and slow, you should be fine. So that's what I'm doing. And here we go. I'll speed this part up as usual. Okay, a couple things. One, I had pulled just before mashing in a half gallon of water. It's in a plastic container, so of course it probably went down in temp a little bit. Not too worried, it'll come back up. And as it got really thick, I'm like, yeah, I need to put that back in. But I wasn't really concerned so much about adding the water. I was concerned about going over the level. And I still look like I could get away with more. Now, keep in mind, technically, this is, based on volume, this is about 14¼ pounds because I added rice hulls, which I also forgot to mention or show. I only added 4 ounces of rice hulls, but 4 ounces of rice hulls takes up about the same amount of space as 1 pound of a regular adjunct or any other normal grain. So 4 ounces of rice hulls is a lot. I mean, that's almost a pound worth of another grain. And I still have room. I mean, I know once I get recirculating, maybe things will adjust a little bit more up or down, but I still have more room. And yeah, I really think this thing is underrated at the 12 pounds just to play it safe. I think you could get a lot more, maybe pushing it up 14, 15. But see, the problem is as you add more grain, you add more water. So baby steps. Okay, I'm gonna give this about another 8 more minutes to maybe 7 more minutes to settle. So we got about a 10-minute, let the grain bed settle. And then I'm gonna turn on the recirculation. We're gonna be here for 75 minutes. Then I'm gonna ramp up to and it's at 149 Fahrenheit. We're gonna ramp up to 168 for 10 minutes. That'll take about 5 minutes to get there, and that's where we come up with our 90 minutes. Once we're done there, I'm going to lift this and we're gonna do what they call a Vorlauf. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that one correctly. And if you've never done a Vorlauf, that is something recommended by Spike with the Spike Solo, and we're gonna do it. So we're not doing a sparge, but we're doing a Vorlauf. I'll explain when we do it, it'll make more sense. But yeah, so I'm gonna get this covered up, let it get up, make sure it's at 149 before I rock on. Cheers. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, turn on the pump. I may have it overly restricted. We'll take a look and I can adjust it a little bit, not a big deal. Actually, that looks pretty good. You see all the gunk that went through, and that's normal. Got a little bit of grain mess coming through. It's clearing up really quick, and that's to be expected. And now, I know a lot of people want to, have the liquid just spraying. I think that's cool too. This actually comes around and it's fine. As long as you're keeping a certain level and you're not putting too much liquid and not pumping it through fast, it's just sitting on top of the grain bed and it's flowing through. It's like kind of like when you're at the beach and you feel the currents flowing. It's the same effect. I mean, the water may look like it's not moving, but you know it's moving. So I'm gonna watch this for a few minutes, make sure I'm good. I don't believe I have a stuck mash, but never walk away from something that's just starting to boil or just starting to mash. So you always take your time, make sure things look good. I may stir up the top a little bit just to make sure that it's flowing nice and smooth and evenly. But other than that, we'll be here for 75 minutes. And then we'll kick it up to 168 for 10 and we'll mash out and Vorlauf. Okay, so we've been here for 75 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead, kick it up to 168. We'll be there for 10 minutes, and then we'll do a 10-minute Vorloff. And I'll show you what we're doing with that and how that's gonna help. Crank the temperature right up here to 168. And simply push it down. It'll be up there very quickly with that extremely powerful burner, 5500 watt, and we'll be there in no time. We're at the end of the mash, but we're gonna do a 10-minute Vorloff. So shut your pump off. You're gonna need a pump. This is where you want that extra hose. As you see, I have plenty of extra hose. And I come up here. I know normally you wouldn't be on a ladder, but I do this for the camera. So hopefully you can kind of see on this. It's gonna be a little difficult, but we'll see. Lift up, set it down. Let it drain for a little bit just to kind of reduce some of that water. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna turn that pump back on. Oh no, yeah. Kind of filter anything that's come through the system as I yanked it up or as I had to, you know, kind of break up the mash a little. It's gonna come back through here and go back through the grain bed like a filter. And it's gonna clean it up a little bit. And it may grab a few sugars left behind, but the key is it's gonna clean up the actual wort. That's pretty much it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna turn the pump back on. It's gonna take a little bit more to get all the way up here. Yeah, I may want to increase the flow a little bit. Whoa, I may need to slow it down, but that's pretty much what we're looking to do here. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to slow that down. Too much. Okay, I'm gonna play with it here for a second, but we're gonna be here for 10 minutes and I'll get it flowing. You need like a remote control, you know, for the pump. There we go. We're just gonna let that go. And in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna let it continue to drain until it's done draining, and then we're gonna kick it up to a boil, and we've got a 60-minute boil, so not a real long one. But we do have a 20-minute whirlpool after that. And don't forget, if you pull the grain basket up and you see you have some channeling in there, before you turn the pump back on for the Vorloff, you know, you can use your mash paddle, whatever you want, just kind of stir things up, make sure it's nice and even, make sure there's nothing stuck, and then turn on your Vorloff, watch it, 10 minutes. You may want to go a little more powerful than you had it going for the mash recirculation, but not by much, if any. And yeah, you can shake it around, you can do whatever you want. You're just trying to filter out any last little bit of grain that might be in there and particulates that might be in your wort. Okay, I want to show you this real quick. Get a glove. Disconnect. The liquid's down here. As long as I keep this higher, I'm okay. Come around here, reconnect, make sure it's secure. That's for our whirlpool. That way we won't have to worry about the whirlpool later. We'll be ready to rock and roll. And we're not gonna be running the pump during the boil, although I will run it for a couple seconds just to flush it, probably mid-boil, but other than that, I'm good. But now we're ready. Okay, it's time for the boil. So it's really easy. Change it from mash to boil. We increase the power. I'm gonna kick it up to 75%. We're gonna bring it back down to about 50% because that heating element is so powerful. But that'll get us there pretty quickly. And we'll be up to boil in no time. Okay, we're at 208. It's going up, might be 209 by now, 210. It goes up pretty fast. As you can see, we're reaching a boil here. So I'm gonna give it a nice little stir, and I'm probably gonna bring down that power, bring it down to about 50%. Because like I said, it's pretty powerful, especially for a 10 gallon. It's, yeah, I won't say way too powerful, but yeah, for 10 gallons, it's a beast. So we're down to 50%. I click it, it's set. I do have my 5-star defoamer just in case. I say just in case, although I'm known to use it a lot, just to err on the side of safety. Actually, that's looking pretty good. I've got a nice break going. I'll leave that up there just for now. And I'm gonna keep watching it for a few minutes. Actually, wait, I can't even wait. I've got to drop our first hop. So we'll start the timer as soon as I drop the hop. Okay, so we're at a boil. We're at 210, and I've got my ½ ounce of Simcoe. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss it in. MoreBeer was nice enough to have them in a little separate bag, so I don't even have to weigh it out. Makes that really convenient. And that's not always the case with all kits, but just something to be aware of. And that's it. We don't have anything else to do for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, other than not take our eye off of this, then we'll drop our second hop addition, and then there'll be no more hops. And in the last 5 minutes, we're gonna do, of course, our Whirlflock tablet, yeast nutrient, and then we'll start cooling things down. And that's when I'm gonna kick it into the whirlpool at 185 and let it kind of go down from there. And yeah, then we'll chill it. And of course, we'll have some dry hops coming up in the next few days. It smells really nice even with only a ½ ounce. Okay, so I've got 30 minutes. Okay, it's our 30-minute addition. I kicked the power up because I wasn't getting the boil off I needed. I need to make sure I boil off enough so that way I have what I want and at the right gravity for my fermenter. Oh, Simcoe, such a great hop. There we go. So I bounce off the top of the mash paddle. But yeah, the boil is going great. We got 30 more minutes. Technically, we got about 25. The reason being, at 25, that's when I, of course, want to drop in the yeast nutrient and the Whirlflock tablet. Okay, we got 5 minutes left, so I'm going to put in a teaspoon of yeast nutrient. It's 2 half teaspoons. And the Whirlflock tablet. Usually foams up a little. And that's it. We've got 5 minutes here. I think we're fine on the total volume, which is good. I just took a gravity reading. I think we're going to be above what I expected, which is fine too. So you can always add a little water if I boil off a little too much. I can't exactly go back and boil off more water if I didn't boil off enough. So I think we're good. Okay, I may have just had a little bit of an audio glitch, but that's okay. I forgot to turn the mic on. That's the glitch. I'm going to kill the power. We're going to turn on the whirlpool. And we're not ready, but I figure this is going to help me get down to temperature very quickly. So I'm shooting for 185. Yes, I need to fix the pump. It's making that noise that Barbecue Larry had. As you can see, we just hit 185. I could use something like this. I could use a mash paddle or something else to do a whirlpool. But a 20-minute whirlpool, yeah, it's nice having a built-in whirlpool. I would be exhausted, and there's no reason to be. I mean, come on. A lot of brew systems have whirlpools that you can add. Spike Solo comes with it. Yeah. So we have our Callista. Just gonna dump it in. Yeah, that's it. Talus. Just gonna dump it in. ½ ounce of Simcoe. Gonna dump it in. I think the pump's chopping up the hops. It's okay. The pump actually has like an impeller that has little like ridges on it designed just to chop pellets up if that happens. And it appears that it did a good job. So we still have our whirlpool. We have 20 minutes. And when we're done with the 20 minutes, I'm gonna cool it down. So I'm gonna let you watch this for a minute and we'll rock and roll. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna chill it down. I'm gonna move it to the fermenter and we'll resume, but I'm starting to smell the hops. It's just when it's so hot, it's very hard to smell the hops, but they're coming through, they're coming through. We've got a ton of hops for dry hopping. So maybe I'll do a little, add that video, I don't know, maybe for the taste test. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me get this chilled down and we'll move it to fermenter and we'll see how we did. Okay, we had a very successful day, and I'm not sure what's going on, but with like the Brewfather app or the Beersmith app, it always tells me when I put a recipe in and I put the Spike Solo as the equipment I'm using, I get really, really low efficiencies. And this is the second time I've brewed with it, and my efficiencies are actually very good. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's a little adjustment that needs to be done in the that's gotta be it. But I do get the brewhouse efficiencies dropping significantly from the mash efficiencies, because if I'm gonna leave everything down here, behind, I'm pulling less liquid, and that's fine. This time, just like last time, I didn't. I actually pulled from the bottom. I wasn't thinking. I meant to pull from the upper one this time to leave the hops behind. But yeah, it's already falling out of suspension. I'm not worried. I did put some clarity firm in here. I did put my tilt hydrometer, which is in there. I need to make sure that's all ready to go in my app. But here's what Beersmith was saying. It said that my brew efficiency should be 68.8 estimated, and my brew house efficiency would be 65%. Well, my mash efficiency, brew efficiency, however you want to call it, was 76.3, and my brew house efficiency was 73.1. So instead of 6.4 and me tossing in a little corn sugar to kick us up to 7, our estimated final gravity, if it hits, I think it was like 1.012, we're sitting at 1.069, should be somewhere around 7.2. So if it drops down to a little lower because we get some hop creep, then we may end up being around 7.3, 7.4. I'm okay with that. I like around 7%. A little pushing up there is fine. So I have the Nova Lager yeast here, which is a hybrid yeast. I forgot to look at the temperature of what I'm gonna ferment it at. So, you know me, whatever the fermentation temperature is, I'm gonna keep it somewhere in the middle, but not for a cold IPA. On a cold IPA, I prefer to be about 2 degrees below the top of the yeast. That way I know I'm not hitting the max and causing any kind of off flavors, but I want to keep it as warm as possible to get as much of that hop aroma and hop flavors, which seem to just seem to work better at warmer temperatures during dry hopping. So I'm gonna go ahead, toss the yeast in. I put this over it until I get a chance to rinse off my coil for chilling, just because I don't want to get anything in here. Work so hard to get the nice wort, I don't want to infect the wort. So kudos again out there to More Beer and Vito. We'll see how that goes, and of course to Spike Brewing. But like I said in the beginning, if you didn't hit the subscribe, we're looking to hit 10K, so please pound the button, knock it out, hit the like, share, definitely appreciate it. I'm gonna get this cooled down and, well, actually it is cooled down. I'm just gonna get it on the fermenter, get the coil in there, and we'll get fermenting. Cheers.